Hey, book club, Dan here from One Man Book Club. I'm going to talk about Wheel of Time with you. Now, a journey of 12,000 pages starts at page 1, and I'll tell you what, Wheel of Time is so stinking long. And if you've been with me for a while, you know I've been putting off reading the Wheel of Time. Reading it straight through, of course, there's no other way to do it. I don't want to read it in parts. Because that's not what I do. I want to read it all the way through, but that would mean something like 9 months straight of reading nothing but Wheel of Time. That's like committing myself to 45 pages a day every day for 9 months, which I actually don't mind the task, but it's just that fitting that kind of commitment into what One Man Book Club does, it doesn't really work. Now, I'm certain One Man Book Club fans, you guys, would get sick of me if I'm exclusively talking about Wheel of Time for an entire year. I'd have to change the name of the book club to Wheel of Time Club or something like that. So I'm approaching this project differently than other reading projects. I'm doing it by, first of all, I become a book polygamist. Now I'm reading more than one book at once, and I usually don't do that, but this, to get Wheel of Time read, that's what I'm doing. I'm reading Wheel of Time and listening to it on audio, and occasionally reading on an e-reader, and then I'm reading something else as an ebook. So it's making both books maybe go a little slower than they would otherwise, but it's working really well because it's enabling me to move through Wheel of Time and keep a regular stream of other interesting books to talk about. Also, I'm not reviewing each Wheel of Time book as I go. I think a separate review for 14 different books would be kind of boring, so instead I'm going to review them in chunks. And I have finished book 5 a couple of weeks ago. This is actually book 1 I'm using to show, but I finished book 5 a couple of weeks ago. And so now that I'm 1/3 of the way through the entire 14-book series, I'm going to share my thoughts. And here they are, with that long-winded preamble. Okay, Wheel of Time. I've had it on my mind since the series began in the mid-90s. It has legions of faithful fans. Amazon has even made it into a TV series. But I've never read it. And in my own nerdy mind, it's been a black mark on my pedigree, book nerd pedigree, going on now for 3 decades. So it's just time to read the stupid stuff. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I might not have started now if it weren't for the 3 Brandon Sanderson books at the end. He wrote books 11, 12, 13, and 14 after the death of Robert Jordan. Cool story where Brandon Sanderson wrote Mistborn. Robert Jordan's widow read Mistborn and said, "This is the guy that I want to have finished my husband's work." And so she called up Brandon Sanderson and said, "Hey, you want to write these books?" And Brandon Sanderson's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so Brandon Sanderson wrote the last 3 books of the Wheel of Time series. So that is my carrot. And that's why I've started, and that's why I'm pushing through to the end. Luckily, I perfectly enjoyed the first 5 books. Now, I'll say that I was well into book 2 before I really got into it, though. You just have to think of things a little differently when you're considering a 12,000-page, 14-book story arc. Things just move a little more slowly than you're used to if you're used to reading, standalones or trilogies. By the time I finished The Eye of the World, book 1, I was actually feeling a little worried. I just read an entire novel, and aside from establishing kind of the general conflict, I didn't have a firm grasp on some pretty elemental aspects of the story, who was I supposed to be cheering for? Who exactly is the bad guy? What is the end goal everyone should be working towards? End of book 1, I wasn't sure. Book 2 cleared up most of the confusion, luckily. And now that I've finished book 5, and I'm well into book 6, I can say I'm fully invested now in the story and in the characters. It is a struggle to get going, but once you're there, you're gonna get caught. Wheel of Time is a story of truly epic proportions. The world is huge. The lore is huge. The conflict is huge. The timeline, the stakes, the character, the growth, the battles, the relationships. It's all huge. So if you love huge, epic-sized fantasy stories with all the requisite magical powers, evil creatures, chosen one prophecies, oversized battles, and spending time in the common rooms of every inn in every town, you're really going to enjoy Wheel of Time. Not a fan of what I just described? Stay away. This series is most definitely not for you. I can confirm the biggest gripe you'll hear, the biggest downfall of the series, is the extreme detail we get of clothes people wear, of weapons people use, of rooms people sleep in, of inns, of food. Anything and everything gets painted with words for our brain picture. It was pretty grating for the first, say, 3 to 4 books. By book 5, I feel like I stopped noticing it. Not because it's no longer there, but just because I've learned at this point what's important and what's not. So I suspect you'll discover kind of your happy place here as well. There are no content concerns at all. No language, no sex. Even the violence is very, very PG. So those are all the issues that parents might want to be concerned with. Turns out reviewing this giant series is pretty straightforward, I guess. Fans of epic fantasy will enjoy the Wheel of Time. Everyone else will quickly begin to be drowned in the details and the dragged out pacing. Me, I am committed to chase that carrot to the bitter end. I would love to know what you think if you're going on this journey with me, or maybe you've already read The Wheel of Time once, or maybe you're one of those who've read it multiple times. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Wheel of Time. Anyway, good luck. Happy reading, everyone.